Miss Bandicota Bengalensis discovers the old caves. Author Aditi. Ghosh. Illustrator Sunaina. Coelho. Meet Miss Bandicota. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis was a little Indian mole rat who grew up in a maze of burrows with her mother, 7 sisters and 10 brothers. They were terrific pests, the 19 of them, always out on a rampage. Most of the Bengalensis family went out to nearby farms to forage for food. But after she narrowly escaped a farmer's rat trap, Miss Bandicota Bengalensis decided never to attack a farm. "Whatever else can you do?" her mother had asked. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis had smiled simply and said, "I can burrow." So every night she would start digging a tunnel. And every morning, she found herself somewhere different, in search of a new adventure, friends and food. Once, she ended up on the beach of Bordi, where she met Porpita and sand bubbler crabs. She also saw the sea for the first time. Wherever she went, so did her explorer's kit with sunglasses, binoculars, magnifying glass and, of course, her favorite sticker bandages. Let's explore another part of India with Miss Bandicota. Somebody stuck her tiny nose out of a hole in the ground. Who was that? Miss Bandicota Bengalensis. She had just emerged from a new burrow after a long night of digging through layers and layers of pink, white and brown rock. It was nearly sunrise. Just as she was about to set her sunglasses on top of her nose, she caught a fleeting glimpse of something odd. She rushed back into her burrow, only to raise her head again more cautiously. She peered nervously into what looked like a round glass window encircled in a thick black rim. From behind it, a huge black eye peered back at her. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis couldn't believe her eyes. Could it be a magnifying glass? Before she could say anything to the huge black eye, it asked, "Who are you?" In a gentle human voice. "I'm Miss Bandicota Bengalensis." "Who are you?" So she said eagerly, holding up her magnifying glass and travel kit, "I love exploring too. I make burrows that go to new places." Tiku grinned. "I know a secret trail through this forest. Do you want to come along?" As you might have guessed, Miss Bandicota Bengalensis was always up for anything new. She scurried out of her burrow. The 2 new friends began their journey, treading on a narrow, dusty path. It was winter, the forest was dry and bare. Leafless branches cast a faint web of shadows that quivered in the breeze. "What's that?" whispered Miss Bandicota Bengalensis. "Nilgai," said Tiku, his eyes shining. Before Miss Bandicota Bengalensis could ask any more questions, the nilgai vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. The quiet of the jungle was rudely interrupted by a crash of branches and cacophony. Startled, mole rat and boy hesitated. Then they proceeded cautiously. The source of the din was not very far off. Actually, it seemed to be coming from just above. A wild fruit tree was the center of the rowdy racket. The drooping branches were laden with large round fruits. The ground below was covered with more ripe yellow-green ones. Many had burst open. The soft pulp was a brilliant saffron. A sweet scent filled the cove. "What tree is this?" Miss Bandicota Bengalensis shouted out to the noisy langurs. "This is a bale tree. Don't you know it?" said an elderly-looking langur, surprised by the question. "We Indian langurs have been feasting on its fruit for thousands of years." Miss Bandicota Bengalensis shook her head, for she had never tasted bale before. "Well, never mind, jump right in," he offered. "There's plenty for everybody." Miss Bandicota Bengalensis pounced on it, prying open the cracked woody shell with gusto. Tiku busied himself collecting dried leaves while she gorged on the fruit. Refreshed by their break, Miss Bandicota Bengalensis and Tiku hiked up the mountain path with renewed vigor. As they climbed, the forest cleared. Further ahead, the road wound through a rocky terrain of sandstone and quartzite. A giant boulder stood precariously at the bend. A lone shimmel tree towered over from behind. Its prickly trunk spread out young silvery branches. It had shed most of its leaves. Deep crimson flowers had just begun to bloom. "I must have a fresh shimmel flower for my collection," announced Miss Bandicota Bengalensis's explorer friend. Promptly, they both rushed to scale the boulder. As Tiku leaned over to take hold of the lowest branch, he slipped, and with him went Miss Bandicota Bengalensis. They rolled down the boulder and slid down the dusty slope. Bump, bump, bumpity, bump. The poor boy had scraped his knee and was clutching his leg in pain. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis was beside him in a flash, a sticker bandage ready in hand. Tiku thanked her as he stuck it on. Dusting themselves, they both stood up, giggling at the silly accident. As Miss Bandicota Bengalensis turned towards the road, her eyes fell upon a breathtaking sight. "Look! We have discovered the largest burrow in the world," she said, awestruck. Tiku smiled affectionately and patted Miss Bandicota Bengalensis on her back. "Welcome to the caves of Bambetka." She couldn't contain her excitement or wait to explore the mysterious caves. Most of all, she was brimming with questions. Who made these caves? When did they make them? How did they make them? Who lives in them? They lived on animals like deer and wild fowl. They made weapons like bows and arrows, and spears to hunt the animals with, and to protect themselves in the jungle. Theirs must have been a life of adventure and peril, but it was the only one they knew. Often, they were attacked by dangerous animals like wild boar and elephant. Sometimes they fought bravely, sometimes they had to flee for their lives. Whenever they returned with an animal they had killed, they celebrated their victory with music and dance. Some of these hunters were artists too. They painted their stories on the walls of their homes to tell us of their adventures from tens of thousands of years ago. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis stood staring at the pictures. The stories of the old cave seemed to come alive. The two explorers walked into another cave. Its walls were covered with hundreds of images of animals. Miss Bandicota Bengalensis studied them intently under her magnifying glass. Meanwhile, her friend was drawing them in his diary. Pointing at one, he asked, "Can you tell which animal this is?" Miss Bandicota Bengalensis looked at it closely. Then she turned to him, beaming, and exclaimed, "That looks like a mole rat." After a morning of learning, Miss Bandicota Bengalensis started zipping through the rock shelters. There were hundreds, some narrow, some wide, some tall, some large and some mere crevices, just like burrows. A few hours later, while she was still whizzing around, her friend called out urgently, "Come along, quick! I must show you the most special rock in the Porpita hills. My father is waiting for me up there." Miss Bandicota Bengalensis sprinted to catch up, and, together, they ran to the edge of the cliff. "Look over the tortoise-shaped rock, Miss Bandicota Bengalensis. You will see the Betwa River basin." As she drank in the view through her binoculars, Tiku ran off to his father. A cool afternoon breeze blew over the cliff, making her drowsy. She snuggled comfortably into a niche under the tortoise rock. As her eyelids drooped, she heard her friend holler, "Will you be here to explore tomorrow?" A silent wind carried her sleepy reply back to him. "Tonight, I must dig a new burrow to explore a new place tomorrow." Guess what? Team up with Miss Bandicota and guess the names of these animals Tiku has drawn. All are believed to be native to India. Here are some clues to help you along. Its African cousin is the largest land mammal, one of the grandest birds, best known for its rain dance. The biggest striped member of the cat family, it has a single horn as its scientific name indicates.